back to another YouTube video here today, and today we are going over this new cash build. I made a Presdigator build finally. Not really good at saying the name. It's a mouthful, honestly. The class mod name is mouthful. I finally made a build of the class mod. It is not dependent on you throwing the cards for damage, so we've made a build with it finally. You can just use the crow source and get some pretty crazy damage going. So we're using the stray for mobbing. This is really good. Works really well. It's 2 bullets in the home end, the nearby enemies. Then we're using the lockjaw, really good for the takedown. Lots of big group of enemies, can take down a ton of enemies. And then we're using the swine song. This is also for mobbing here. Works really well here. Get a ton of damage with it. And then we're using the crow source for bossing. Crow source is our best bossing weapon for this build. Gives some pretty crazy damage with the crow source. Lots of fun to use. And then we're using the mini triple bypass with amp. I recommend a mini one because it has more cooldown. And then we're using the Himdall also for mobbing. You're only going to get 3 shots off, and you can also throw your dice. Get more cooldown if you like from your dice, which is nice. And then we're using Deadly Prime Median. You get a free charger, gun or the maximum charge, gun the licensed parts, and 30% chance to make next shot charge in time ammo cost 0. Power shot gun of ordered licensed parts. Gain 30% damage when firing maximum charge. This one has gun critical and assault rifle critical damage. This is the god roll for the scroll source. And then we're using the watts for dinner. This one has siphon and amp, so we can get shields really easily. You could use 100% amp to get out more damage. We're using siphon amp here, so we have more over shield gain. And then we're using the Presdigator. You get 5 and tormented, and you're gonna want critical damage. The other 2 skills aren't most important here. And then we're using the reason 2 active fires. You get 10% more weapon damage and 20% more charge rate. And you get firing charge weapon 0.5 seconds, reaching full charge, increased damage dealt by 100%. Then we're using high caliber, you get projectile speed and gun damage by 10%. Weird how the game audio just started coming through during. I was want to enjoy my game or something. And they're using 5 and fast hands, so you get 30% more reload speed and windfall chance when you're doing reloads. Could use the slugger to proc windfall easier, and then you could be using 1 in alchemy to get elemental effect chance. You get more fortune stacks. Then you're using 1 in trick taker to get 35% more elemental damage. 2 in sounds of range, so you have 4% critical hit chance with your guns and axe skills and ordnance. 1 in go for broke, so you get an additional stack of fortune. And then we're using light and scratch. Whenever cash attempts in the windfall, you gain a stack of fortune. And then we're using 5 in high roller. The cash gains increased gun damage. The more axe skill cooldown he has, the greater the bonus. And then we're using 5 in vigorous. So fortune skill, whenever cash deals damage with his action skill, his gun deal bonus elemental damage that type. More fortune stacks cash has, the greater the bonus. You get 35% damage dealt, which is really good. And then we're using 3 in dealer's buff. Whenever cash gains a stack of fortune, restores his action skill cooldown, which is really good. And then we're using 5 in charm bracelet. You gain a chance to increase skill damage, which is really good. 5 in Fortuna, so you have a little bit of windfall chance. You have elemental effect chance and more elemental effect damage. Also, 3 in Red Moon Rising, so you get bonus damage dealt of fire damage when windfall is active. 1 in Devil Teen, so you get an additional armor slot. 1 in Luckless, so they become jinx when you activate an axe skill near the enemy. 5 in Turn of Fate, so you got a ton of lifesteal still, plus overshield still. And then we're using 1 in the Cursed Bones. So when your axe skill damages an enemy, that enemy becomes jinx, and they also take increased damage from all sources. And then we're using 5 in Tormented. The class mod is put 10 in here, so we get 100% more critical hit damage, which is really good. And then we're using 4 in Graveyard Shift, so we have more axe skill cooldown rate per jinx enemy. And then we have 1 in Call. Whenever Cash activates his axe skill, he hits bow tunnels, automatically critical hit enemies. which is really nice because you automatically critically hit enemies with this build once you're activating your bone totems. And then we're using the best defense, so you get 30% damage dealt when shields are full. And then we're using tripwire, so you get ordnance cooldown reduction. Then we're using rotary this, you get 1% gun damage per stack. And then we're using groundbreaker, so you can ground break the enemies, which is a lot of fun to do. So basically, when you're this build, you're always going to be wanting to throw your dice, and the enemy's going to need to be jinxed. There, you can always hit crits. And as you can see, we're hitting for like 200, 500k with the playing song here, and it's pretty strong, as you can see. Overall, like the crit skill, great here, a lot of fun. And you take the lockjaw and the takedown, and like crit skill, we have a dice. The only problem is it's not very easy to get windfall sometimes because we're not using the crit windfall. So like we're dependent on us to get lucky or us to have the reload. So basically the best way to get windfall with this build would be the hot slugger, getting yourself a hot slugger. Where you can take that and get your windfall going a bit easier. So as you see when we reload, got windfall going. And as you can see right now we're throwing cards like crazy. And I didn't, when this class mod came out, I didn't want to make the build around it. Because it felt like that they wanted you to use the cards, but I decided to make a build around it because you can get enough raw damage going with Cash and the Crosswords and a lot of other guns and these guns for mobbing. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure you guys leave a like on it. If you guys want to become a member, this is now a thing. And I hope we can see you guys in the next one. Peace.